They had 6 #1 singles, 5 #1 albums and millions of adoring fans worldwide. But in a new documentary, it has revealed the darker side of Boyzone's rise to fame and how they had to have a right look and they lived in fear of being replaced. It's actually quite a difficult watch in many parts, and I've watched the first part. I haven't seen the last bit yet, but so far it's quite an emotional thing. Kelle, you know all too well what that world was like. You knew Boyzone really well.
Yeah. We were together a lot of the time because in those days it was quite a close-knit community. So because sometimes the other bands were the only other people that you saw, so that became your social life because you looked forward to those Smash Hits tours or whatever because you knew you were going to see each other again. So that community in those days was really important. It kept you together. I mean, what I thought about the documentary is that it was really real and gritty. And I think just, in the light of us losing Liam Payne and other people, I think it's really important that we highlight the difficulties and the impacts that the industry can have and still has on artists. I think
because it's young.
Yeah, I think that's what people don't
isn't it?
Sort of take into consideration. It's the isolation from your family and your friends. You're not going home every night to get a debrief with your family, who then pull you back into reality, give you a hug, say everything's going to be okay. You're away for extensive amounts of time, and that isolation and also then the press intrusion, it can be really difficult to manage. And I think just watching them highlight it in the way that they did in the documentary, I think is really commendable. And the honesty from each and every member, I think that's what's going to help a lot of people. And I hope that if there are other artists out there that are struggling, hear me, please just get in touch with somebody and share your thoughts and your feelings and get some help and support.
Yeah. It's that sort of notion of being a bit of you're a product, you're a bit of a commodity, and I think that's the bit really when you sort of cipher away all of the other glitz and glam, that's sort of how it feels. It feels quite raw.
Especially at that time, that you're manufacturing a group based with a group of boys who were around 16 years of age. They were kids, they were teenagers. You get offered the world by this puppet master. And of course, fame, the illusion of fame is that, it gives you freedom from family, freedom from poverty, but it doesn't. Fame actually gives you restrictions, gives you certain boundaries, gives you judgments. And they were basically young kids with a Machiavellian puppet master who just pushed them without them having any idea of what they were being pushed into and what it meant for them. And I just find, I hope now that would not be possible anymore.
Unfortunately, it still happens. I get artists, I've had artists approach me, especially being on the panel. If we have an artist on, they'll come to me after the show and say, look, this is happening to me. Do you know what to do about this or how I should handle this or what? And it's really so sad. And sometimes when I speak out about it, I get backlash. And
really?
I'm like, yeah.
Like what kind of what do you mean?
Well, unfortunately, people think because you are in this privileged position that you don't have the right to complain. So because you are, they think you're earning all of this money, but they're not thinking about the people that then take cuts off that money and what you actually end up with. And the hours of work and isolation, they're not thinking about that being compounded. So I spoke out recently about Liam Payne and saying that I really feel like there needs to be more safeguarding for young artists because I've seen firsthand, I've seen what happens to the people around me, and it's scary because parentally you're isolated from your parents, they're not there to see what's happening, and you are young and vulnerable. If we were in any other institution, there would be parental guidance impacted in those environments. But because it's the industry, all of a sudden, it's OK to strip it away.
What would you say to parents, like, if their young children were starting to get into this industry? Because you've told the young people what to do, but what would you say to parents to look out for?
For parents that are in that situation, my mum and dad were exactly the same. They were like, I'm coming along to chaperone my child to make sure that she's OK. And if you are in that situation where sometimes parents feel like they don't have a voice or they feel silenced because the record company are powerful and they don't want to, maybe jeopardise their child's opportunity by being a pushy parent. Well, I'd much rather be a pushy parent and make sure my child is safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It is an absolutely fascinating watch. Definitely have a look at it.